passed 2 bills for tornado relief funding. Up next could be a much bigger one.
As early as this Friday, the board may have first reading of a plan to spend some of the Rams settlement money on tornado relief. Alderman Rasheed Aldridge says he's been in talks with the mayor's office and board president.
We can get the momentum going to get funds out the door immediately. People that need their home repair, people that just need a roof. You know, we want to make sure we keep folks in housing. We want to make sure we keep as many people here in the city.
Aldridge says there's $30 million in accrued interest from the Rams' money he'd like to see tapped. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
The economy will be fine. Stiefel CEO Ron Krzyzewski says so long as tariffs go away, taxes are cut, and regulations are downsized. He also tells CNBC the government should make it easier for companies to sell their stock and raise capital.
That's through IPOs, and we need to see that. And that's what they're talking about here. That and AI. I mean, you know, AI is, you can't go to a meeting without talking about AI here.
Krzyzewski is at St. Louis-based Stiefel's annual Cross-Sector Insight Conference. And it's time for the Wall Street Wrap, sponsored by Stiefel and Ophthalmology Associates. I'm with Stiefel Director of Investments, Eric Roberts. So how'd we do on this Tuesday?
Well, Michael, stocks rallied today as investors assess the latest labor market data. The S&P 500 advanced 0.6%, closing at 5,970. The Dow added 214 points, or 0.5%, closing at 42,519. And the Nasdaq rallied 0.8%, closing at 19,398.
Is the JOLTS survey going to give us a jolt?
Well, it was at least moving in the right direction. The U.S. labor market continues to show signs of strength despite ongoing trade tensions. New job postings in the U.S. rose to 7.4 million in April. That's up from 7.2 million in March. Job openings rose for white-collar, retail, healthcare, entertainment, and recreation roles, while they fell at hotels and restaurants, largely due to a decline in travel.
That is Stiefel, Director of Investments, Eric Robert. Thank you. That's the Wall Street Wrap on KMOX.
We have a weather front slowly heading our way. The good news, the real severe weather is going to stay way off to our west and northwest. But we're cloudy, we're breezy for evening plans, couple of showers here and there. There could be a rumble of thunder, but there's not a lot of action this evening, not a lot of action overnight. 72. Wednesday, clouds dominate, periods of showers, couple of thunderstorms, nothing severe, 80 degrees. Unsettled times continue Wednesday night and Thursday. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
We've got winds out of the south at 16, gusting up to 27 miles per hour. It's 85 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This traffic report is a service of Anderson Hospital. Still no change on this couple of crashes we got out there right now. Northbound 170, north of Natural Bridge. Well, the 2 left lanes are blocked now instead of the 3, so they opened up another lane, but it's jammed midway back between Page and the Rock Road on northbound 170, and they're still working that crash in the right lane, westbound 70 at 270. That's a solid jam back to Lindbergh. 70 both ways around Jennings Station, still kind of busy. There's pockets from Hanley through their ball game stuff, eastbound and westbound. Delays around Kings Highway. By the way, South 170 is a solid jam from Olive down to 64. That crash is still out there. Northbound 170, north of the U Club Tower on the right shoulder. So traffic's backed up getting onto the Interbelt both directions on 64. Westbound 64, Kings Highway all the way to Hanley. West of McKnight to Ballas is slow. Backed up Clarkson to Topgolf, but it's slow all the way to the Boone Bridge. And again, 364 out to 70. Eastbound 64 through the Chesterfield Parkways to Timberlake. Heavy and McKnight through Big Bend. You've got delays. South 270 slow at Page, jammed. Olive to Ladue. Both directions up through Manchester, Ladue area are heavy. Westbound 44 west of Jameson through Laclede Station slow. Southbound 55 pockets from Arsenal to Bates. Westbound 44 backs up through the bridges. And eastbound westbound 64 are heavy between 70 and the Poplar. Next update at 5:20 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Serving the Metro East region with excellence, Anderson Hospital is proud to be named one of Newsweek's World's Best Hospitals for 2025. Experience world-class care close to home. AndersonHospital.org.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour on a Tuesday here on KMOX, getting ready for the Cardinals and the Royals to kick off a 3-game series tonight. So we're going to wrap early because the game is somewhat early. So 5:45, we're done. Pregame's going to start at 5:50. First pitch at 6:45 tonight. Matt Pauley's at the ballpark. He'll be there for all that and for the post-game or pre- and post-game show. And, of course, I am sitting here in the lovely KMOX studios. Matt, if anybody was tuned in, and we had about 100 people tuned in before we even started, if you saw me, showing my phone to Matt Pauley, there's a report that hit just a couple of minutes ago that the Cardinals have signed left-handed reliever Tyler Matzik to a minor league deal. I believe, who did he open the year with? Did he open the year with the Braves? I forget who he opened the year with. Maybe it was the Yankees.
Yeah, it was the Yankees
and
that he was with.
Struggled a little bit and.
Well, no, let's see. Yeah, with the Yankees. Because he pitched both at Scranton Wilkes-Barre and with the Yankees this year.
Right. And he only pitched in 7 games this year. He only pitched in 11 games last year, but before that was actually a pretty quality reliever. He normally has a big fastball, but it's dropped off a little bit. He's had some arm problems the last couple of years. But it's a minor league deal, so not to get excited. I just figured we'd throw that out there. The Cardinals have added a 34-year-old veteran arm who may or may not be a factor at the big league level, but he's going to join the minor league team.
I had him when I was broadcasting AAA baseball in the Rockies organization.
He was throwing gas then.
Yeah, I'd love to see him here. I'd love to say hello to him. Yeah, not to make things about myself, but
let's do.
Today I saw Salvador Perez. I used to work in the Royals organization. I was his broadcaster in 08 or 09 at Low A. I have not seen Salvi one-on-one since 08, 09, and I was in the Royals dugout today, and I got the chance to talk to him for a few minutes. And it's things like that just make this game so darn cool, Kevin. When you've been around the game for a while, and there's people that come into your life at one moment, and then you see them again 10, 15, 20 years down the line. It's one of the reasons I really enjoy being in this game.
That's the positive side. The downside is you're getting old.
Yeah.
Although you're not as old as me, so there's that. All right, so we got a lot to do today in the little bit amount of time that we have. And on Tuesdays, as we go through the baseball season, we are going to spend a good bit of time going over some of the highlights from the Gas House Gang that day, because on Tuesdays at noon, Ollie Marmol joins Bernie Miklas and Chris Ranji and Tom Ackerman, and they talk ball for a half an hour. And it's always interesting to hear about the latest things that are going on, straight from the manager's mouth, where he has a little bit of time, right? It's not a post-game press conference. It's not a quick pregame conversation. It's a 30-minute opportunity for him to lay things out and talk about what he's thinking about, kind of the issues of the day. So, if you miss that episode of the Gas House Gang on Tuesdays, well, don't miss that anyway, but if you miss that on Tuesdays, you can always find it on all of the social media sites where it broadcasts, and you can also podcast on the Odyssey app and anywhere you get podcasts. But Ollie talked about a couple of interesting things today, Matt. We're going to play a couple of the clips, and then we'll react to those as well. But he did mention that in this stretch with a lot of games, they'll probably try to mix in a 6th starter in some way, shape, or form, which we kind of assumed, right?
Yeah.
So we can.
But would not give away if it's going to be Matz or McGreevy.
It's going to be McGreevy, right?
It has to be. It
has to be. You need Matz where he is. You need him where he is.
And honestly, you need to
see McGreevy too.
He did say it without saying it today. This is where learn to read between the lines on Oliver Marmol, because when he talked about the potential of Matz being that guy, he mentioned, well, if you do that, he's not going to be available for 3 days before and 3 days after, yada, yada, yada. Yep. And then when he talked about McGreevy, he talked about it in much more positive way. So he didn't say it's going to be one thing or the other.
But you could read into it.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of did. All right, he also talked a bit about the offense, Matt, and we've talked a lot about the interesting things about this offense. I mean, they score a lot of runs on a whole. Sure, streaky, but a lot of teams are streaky. That's not that unusual. But they're doing it without power, and I thought his conversation, or his part of the conversation on that today was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so we'll play this for you. The conversation started with basically, I think Tom asked him, how are you guys scoring so many runs when you're one of the worst home run hitting teams in baseball? And he went very deep, and he took that in a number of different directions.
Our guys are doing a nice job of taking professional at-bats, right? Like they are, and we've said this in spring training, and this is Brownie saying there's a time to slug and a time to hit. Our guys have done a really nice job of understanding those two things. There's days where you're going to take your shots and play for a little bit more slug, and there's days, man, where you just got to stay short, keep it simple, and get it to the guy behind you. And our guys have done a nice job of taking their hits. Even if you look at the DeGrom game, man, I love some of the approaches that we took against them, and Mason going the other way and guys just staying short through the middle of the field. That's a good pitching staff. They're at the top of the league for a reason, and they were able to quiet us offensively. But man, at the end of the day, here's what I'm most excited about. Our offense has done a nice job, and it's the area where we have the most room for improvement. This is just the beginning of what this group can do, and we're going to continue to challenge them because there's areas that there's some real improvements in, and I don't want to take away from what we've done, but man, we're going to be head down making sure that we actually get these guys to the level that they're capable of. Right now, this is just the beginning of what they're capable of. From a chase standpoint, from controlling strike zone, from flipping counts to there's some things that we can improve upon, and the better we get at that 1 through 9 and our bench as well, the tougher it's going to be for an opposition to come through here and feel good about taking a series from us.
Fascinating stuff. And I look, I think that it shows, number one, being adaptable is a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like having the ability to understand what you are and what you need to be on a given day. If you're asking people to do things they're not good at, it's not going to work out well. But when you look at all of this, right, sure, there's a time to slug and there's a time to hit, but the Cardinals do slug. They just don't hit it over the fence. They hit it into the gap, right? They're a top half team. They're 14th in Major League Baseball in slugging percentage. So when you're middle of the pack in slugging, but you're at the very bottom end in a good way, or I should say at the top end in strikeout rate, you're one of the lowest strikeout teams in baseball. And you also walk at a reasonable rate, and you're one of the top teams in the league when it comes to doubles. You can make it all work. But again, you and I know Bernie likes to say it too. You and I talk about it all the time. Power is about home runs, but it's not only about home runs. They have the 4th most doubles in the league right now.
Yeah, generally speaking, you win games by hitting home runs. That's the way you score runs, and that is true for most teams in baseball. If you're not going to hit home runs, Kevin, you better hit a ton of doubles. And that's exactly what they're doing. So give credit where credit is due. I think as things warm up this summer, a few more of those are going to end up going over the wall. I do think there's guys who, even a Wilson Contreras, we know about the power that he has, and he hasn't completely shown that yet this year. Ivan Herrera hasn't hit a ton of home runs here recently. He's going to pick up. So they're going to hit their home runs. I think it's easier to add home runs to what you do offensively than it is to add doubles to what you do.
Yeah.
If you're a doubles hitting team, well, some power is going to come along. You don't always hit the doubles that go along with it. So I like the profile of this lineup and what they're doing.
Well, and part of the reason they have success, too, is they get some depth out of the lineup, generally speaking. Not that it's always 1 through 9 good, but the way you put it is fun. You start with Victor Scott in the 9 spot. But if you look at that and then swing it around, you're always good right until you get to about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And if you hit Burleson ahead of Nolan Arenado, then you'd have straight through 6. And it's a little bit of a weird lineup today, Matt. I know it's kind of odd because you got 3 righties followed by 3 lefties, and you could have mixed that up a little bit. Slide Arenado down one, Burley up another one. But I don't know. I guess that offends the sensibilities at this point that, Nolan in the 7 hole is just not doable.
I think they get there at some point, but I also think there's a belief that, and I don't know where I stand on this, like generally I have pretty strong opinions on things. I still leave open the possibility that maybe Arenado can have a little bit of an offensive renaissance here.
And when he does, he can move back up.
I know for sure Oliver Marmol believes that. When he was talking about that today, he mentioned Arenado as being the guy that in that group, along with Contreras and Herrera, who have the potential to hit more home runs. So there is a belief from the Cardinals that Arenado still has the possibility of coming back around. But look, 6-7 Arenado versus Burleson.
It's just more about splitting the lefties and righties because you're making it too easy for the opponent to go lefty, lefty, lefty at the bottom.
Sure.
And righty, righty, righty in the middle. It's not a big deal, but then it's 4 lefties in a row because you got those 3 at the bottom plus Newt Bar at the top. So it's not as big a thing for Newt, but it's still a thing that you could look at. But not the end of the world. We'll live through it because it's the Royals. It's not exactly. They're a good pitching team, but they don't have any big lefties in the bullpen that you have to worry too much about. All right, we got to change gears for just a couple seconds. We come back, we're going to talk more about that lineup construction thing. I don't think Ollie's going to be talking about the lefty-righty thing that we were just talking about, but they got a lot of interesting ways to move puzzle pieces around, and we'll get his thoughts on that when we come back on the Redbird Rush Hour.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because The Land Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Land Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are joined by Dr. Albert Kim.
We're using not only molecules, but also machines to confront brain tumors. We have things like laser, which sounds a little science fiction, but lasers can be used to kill tumors. And we can use non-invasive surgeries. It's called focused ultrasound.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Check out the Terrace in Eureka for affordable senior living with 24-hour nursing supervision, delicious meals, medication management, and activities. The Terrace is affordable and will work with your Medicaid plan. Go to rspseniorliving.com and look for the Terrace Private Assisted Living.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, this traffic report is a service of Terrace Senior Living at Eureka. We still have a solid jam on southbound 170 from Olive all the way down to 64. Northbound's backed up coming off the 64 ramps up to about the Parkway. That's where we had a crash on the shoulder. They moved that crash to the shoulder north 170 past Natural Bridge, but it's jammed now between Page and Midland. It looks like there may be trouble at that point. Westbound 70 still heavy at the city limits, still slow from the west end of the airport all the way to 270. Our right lane still blocked as they try to wrap up that crash at that point. It's still busy. TR Hughes through K, A to Z out west. Southbound 270, not as much of a jam, but it's still backed up south of Page to Olive. Slow both ways between Ladue and a point south of Manchester. Eastbound 64, you've got heavy traffic coming out of the valley from east of Annie Guns to almost Timberlake and east of Lindbergh through the Innerbelt. Well, if you're on westbound 64, you've got that heavy traffic running out from Kings Highway pretty much all the way to 270, Clarkson all the way to the Boone Bridge, and 364 most of the way to 70. Southbound 55 are still debate stop-and-go pockets. Westbound 44 still jammed between the bridges and the bridge. The Poplar between 3rd Street and the bridge itself is still heavy both ways. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX. Picking back up with our conversation again on Tuesdays. We'll pick a highlight or two from the Gas House Gang with Ollie Marmol on that day and just kind of kick those things around. And one of the things we just talked about was kind of the style of offense, Matt, and how they've been able to score some runs. But also they have, you know, they have now, and this is not more true now. It's actually a little less true now that Jordan Walker's on the injured list for a short period of time. But they are managing a bit of a crunch. They've got 10, 11 guys they want to play, and they only got 9 spots in the order.
Yeah, and they're actually going into a spot now where it might be able to get a little bit better because when you have an off day once a week, you're going to put out your best lineup more often. Now, with them playing all but 2 days in the entire month of June, Marmol talked about the fact that, yeah, that gives them an opportunity. I thought it was interesting, though. The question that started this whole conversation was how happy he was with about managing the lineup in terms of putting a lineup out there that can win every day while also giving guys the opportunities that they want to give this year as part of the stated goal of this year's team.
If I'm being completely honest, I'd probably want to find more time for Gorman. But our schedule also didn't allow for that. When you look at May, you had every Thursday off, which allows you to run your A lineup out there almost every day, knowing that they're going to play 6 days, have a day off, and feel refreshed, and play 6 days, have a day off. When you go down this next stretch in June, this is where it creates more opportunity for that. So that's where it's frustrating, man, because he was starting to do some things in Walker where we felt good about it. So it stinks that he has the wrist injury. I don't think it'll be a long IL stint, and it'll be nice to have him back. But this is where Gorman during this next stretch will have a little bit more opportunity. So I think we've done an okay job of balancing growth and winning, and we knew it'd be a tightrope all the way through. But I do think we've done a decent job of that.
Well, we'll see. I think it's fascinating. I mean, like, I understand what he's saying about the A lineup, but I'm not sure your A lineup absolutely has to include Arenado. I think you could make that happen as the manager of the team and say, oh, you're going to get an extra day off a week. If we play 6, you're going to play 5. If we play 7, you're going to play 5. And not if there's a hot streak, right? This is all about circumstance. If Gorman's in an 0 for 20, well, then don't force it. You know what I'm saying? If Arenado's in an 8 for 12, then yeah, keep running him out there. Like I feel like it's not the schedule. So we spent all of yesterday talking about how good a job Ollie's doing as a whole, and I still believe all of that. But to be fair, the lineup is not made by the schedule. The lineup is made by the manager. And you could just choose to give an extra day off here to a hitter who is struggling. And I'm not trying to pick on Nolan, but as Bernie pointed out yesterday, it is what it is. There is nothing in his underlying numbers that suggests he's going to get better. It's only getting worse year by year. And right now, his expected numbers are exactly what his real numbers are. There's no hidden power or anything coming back.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the middle guy here because I threw out one day on a Gas House Gang, I think it was last Friday, to Claibs about, maybe you give an extra day or two to Nolan Arenado. And Claibs immediately came back at me and said, well, you need his glove in there.
It's a good point,
really
too.
Important defensively. So then I talked to you and I talked to Bernie, and I think you guys want Arenado out of the lineup maybe a little bit more than I do.
I don't think it's that crazy, though, say like once or twice a week, though.
No.
I mean, you're still playing 75%, 80% of the time.
Yeah, I guess where I would push back on you, Kevin, is I do think the A lineup on most days still includes Nolan Arenado.
Maybe it does, but again, when you're openly saying we need to get these other guys more looks, but we're blaming the schedule for not getting those looks, you can schedule off days for guys that aren't performing.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that.
Whether it's a struggling Burleson down the road or it's Arenado not hitting now, I mean, they control that. It's not the schedule's fault.
Yeah, literally the only thing I'm pushing back on, Kevin, is like verbatim your words were, I don't know if the A lineup includes Nolan Arenado. And I think more.
I think it said it doesn't have to include him every time.
Okay. Well, I think not every time. Yes, you're right. But more often than not,
sure.
Yes, it does.
5 or 6 days a week.
Yes.
I'm not trying to push the guy to the bench because I agree. His defense matters on a team that is really based on defense. I could not agree with that more. I'm just saying if you're trying to create opportunities, there are ways to do it that include some of those guys getting an extra day. Maybe Newt needs a day here and there. Maybe Victor Scott needs a day here or there. Maybe that's what we're going to see now, right? With 32 games in 34 days, that's what he's talking about. But it doesn't. A hard strength stretch of games isn't the only way to accomplish that. You can just do it anytime.
Yeah, I think right now, clearly, there's 3 ways to get Gorman in the lineup. The today situation where Herrera's catching, so he's the DH. The situation where Donovan goes to the outfield and he can play second base, or Arenado getting more days off and him going and playing at third. 2 of those scenarios are connected to the Jordan Walker injury.
Right.
So when Walker comes back,
even more complicated.
All of a sudden, it's once again really just the occasional start for whatever reason versus Arenado getting a little bit more time off.
Absolutely. All right, we got a little more to do here before we get you to the pregame show. Matt Pauley's got pre and post tonight. Cardinals and the Royals first pitch at 6:45. We'll have more coming up on the Redbird Rush Hour here on 104.1 KMOX.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. They are the internet service provider in my home. And the package that I get the 2 gig package. And they always mirror the upload and download speed, which is a really big deal. I'm paying like $60 a month for it, which is an incredible price. How incredible, you ask? Well, this sounds incredible. If you are getting that service from AT&T, over 2 years, you're going to save $1,640. Maybe you don't need that speed of internet. Most people don't. Maybe I don't, but most people don't. You can get their introductory rate at $19.99 a month. That's about 250 megabytes per second. Again, that's still pretty quick internet. Most people are going to be perfectly fine with that. And when you do that, you're going to save $10 a month compared to Charter. I love i3 Broadband. You hear me talk about them all the time. The service is reliable. If you're sick of dropouts, if you're sick of just your internet being so unreliable and you want to save a little bit of money, see if they're available in your neighborhood. All you got to do is go to the website, i3broadband.com, i3broadband.com. Put your address in, see if they're available, i3broadband.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
At 5:30, it is 84 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore confirms he received a letter from a nonprofit watchdog group asking him to seek the removal of City Sheriff Alfred Montgomery from office.
I intend to look at the law and the facts, evaluate it, and exercise my best judgment in moving forward. That's what I do on every matter.
The Holy Joe Society accuses Sheriff Montgomery of misusing public resources, abusing his authority, handing out unprofessional discipline, and failing to complete his core duties. Montgomery's office disputes the claims as lacking credible evidence. The Centers for Disease Control updates its guidance on a highly contagious disease.
The CDC is now calling on all Americans to get the measles vaccine before traveling to other countries. That's if you are not already immunized or have not already had the measles. Federal health officials point out that nearly all exposures at airports are linked to international travel. At the end of last month, there were nearly 1,100 cases of measles in the U.S. so far this year. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Fans of women's high-level and professional sports may soon have a bar just for them in our region. As KMOX's Megan Lynch tells us, the establishment that launched the trend has announced it's expanding to 4 cities, including St. Louis.
The sports bra features only women's sports on its TVs. Along with St. Louis, it's expanding to 3 other cities, including Boston and Indianapolis. Axios Kansas City reporter Travis Meyer has been following the trend. One challenge, finding access to video feeds.
They're talking to each other. They're networking, and they're sort of problem solving that, what subscriptions do we need and how do we get all these women's sports that are streamed, maybe just not in your typical cable packages or whatever, how do we get them on the TVs?
Another hurdle, getting financing, but Meyer says the popularity of women's sports is growing enough to dominate the screens.
The owners here in Kansas City who are opening the Dub, they're planning later this year. They said that they'll show some men's sports, maybe in a TV in the corner with the sound low.
Showers and storms possible tonight, low 72. For tomorrow, periods of showers and some storms and a high of 80. Tomorrow night, some spot storms, 67. Thursday and Friday, periods of showers and some storms. Do expect some dry time Thursday, Friday with a high of about 83. Right now, 84 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Selling your car online sounds easy. Snap a few pics, list a price, then what? Wait weeks? Haggle with strangers? At Suntrop Ford, we actually make it easy to sell your car. Visit Suntrop Ford Kirkwood or Westport, and our expert appraisers will give you a fast, fair offer on the spot. Or skip the trip and get an instant quote at suntropford.com. No guesswork, no games, just the best price. Visit suntropford.com today. Get more at Suntrop Ford.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Are moles tearing up your yard? Don't let these lawn invaders turn your beautiful property into a mess. Rottler Pest Solutions offers professional mole control services to protect your lawn from damage. Visit Rottler.com today to schedule your free inspection.
A few years ago, CTV was a buzzword. Now it's your most important channel, while your current DSP is still playing catch-up. Viant's been leading CTV from the start, delivering real results across the world's most premium streaming content, viewed by real consumers, backed by real reporting. With AI-driven optimization, people-based targeting, and inventory from the biggest names in entertainment, Viant doesn't just reach audiences, it moves them. Viant, where premium streaming meets performance. Visit Viant.ai to unlock real results today.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling, Jerry Kelly, Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, and Electrical.
And electrical.
Jerry Kelly, Redbird.com.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Redbird Rush Hour getting ready for pregame here. 5:45, we're done. 5:50 pregame kicks off. My buddy Matt Pauley over there at the ballpark with all that cool memorabilia behind him will be taking care of the pregame show and the postgame show, Cardinals and the Royals tonight. And that brings us to, and I didn't really plan this in advance of our conversation, Matt, but our Game Day Men's Health peak performer, get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health, is Nolan Gorman, but not because of performance that has happened.
Okay.
But because of how important all of his appearances kind of are right now, right? I mean, we've talked a lot about how some of the runway for guys has kept them from looking over their shoulder and thinking that they need to produce to stay in there. But he kind of needs to produce or he's not going to play again for a week.
Yeah, it's more pronounced with him. And not only not play for a week, he may not have a job at this time next year with the Cardinals. Like that may happen anyway. So there's a guy named J.J. Weatherholt on the way. Oh, yeah, Thomas Sajaci has proven that he can play at the big league level. Like there is a logjam of the most serious nature
100%.
At that middle infield spot. And at some point, you can't just hold it for Gorman.
Yeah, and that time is coming. And I guess, kind of to finish the conversation that we had last segment, because it's not a big thing. Like, none of this is crisis mode. You've won a lot of games lately. You're doing fine. This is not about, pound the table, we're mad, brr. It's not that. It's just more of like, if you do want to see people, there are ways to do it. As an example, Victor Scott's not had a good month at the plate in April. Didn't have a good month in May. Lars Nootbaar did not have a good month in May, but they both played 26 games. I think it's more about finding spots when guys are struggling where an extra day off might help you get right.
I guess
you know
I would.
What I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I get it. Because, you're a defense first team. Victor Scott's a big part of that. Mason Wynn's a big part of that. I'm not taking Wynn out because he's been hot. I'm not taking Donovan out because he's never had a cold snap this year. He's just been a machine all season long. So I get it. It's difficult. It's not easy, but that's where you do it. But then the other counter is maybe it's just not going to happen, and we should all just stop discussing whether or not we got to find at-bats for Nolan Gorman. Maybe it's just not going to happen.
Well, he's the guy, if he goes and has a good little run here while Jordan Walker's on the injury list, then they're going to find at-bats for him. I would also push back on the idea that, look, there's just not a lot of guys who you can really count on to be everyday outfielders on the roster. So Nootbaar and Scott are going to have to play more because you have
Donovan plays
Walker.
Left field.
Okay, but I mean it's different. We're just talking about the log jam. They're
got a lefty out there. Barrera can play outfield.
But that's not his main position. Like,
I mean, he plays a lot of center field.
He can.
And he's been pretty good at it.
There's a difference between he can play that spot and that's his spot.
I mean, it was his main spot last year, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think he played like 60, 70, 80 games there.
He's good out there.
Yeah.
But look, when we're...
Oh, that doesn't get Gorman in, though.
Right.
It doesn't get to the point of the conversation anyway.
No, it does not.
Again, none of it's critical. This is not an issue that we need to take before Congress. It's just, again, maybe that just can't be a priority right now. You know what I mean? Like, maybe for the time being, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means trade values lessened when you're going to make a move. I don't know if that just means, we're going to have to write it off. And by the way, the new guy is not going to be attached. Chaim Bloom's not attached to Nolan Gorman. So maybe it's easier for him to just, make the move there, and he's not going to get the heat because he didn't draft him, didn't develop him, wasn't a part of the circumstances that led to the decision. All right, stick around. We got a few more minutes of Rush Hour. We're going to hit speaking of Rush Hour, we're going to get a quick hit of traffic with Captain Roger Band, and we'll be right back on the other side of it on the Redbird Rush Hour.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, this traffic reports a service of Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical. If you're coming in for the ball game, eastbound 64 bogged down from about Andy Guns to almost Timberlake. It's slow again east of Lindbergh, jammed at the Interbelt, of course. South 170 still has stop-and-go pockets. South of Olive down to 64. If you're coming in for the ball game on eastbound 70, there's some slow traffic, a little bit at the east end or the west end of the airport, and then right through the 170 Hanley area and right around Florissant Road into about Lucas Hunt. Westbound 70 just slow at the Jennings Station area. A couple of spots from the airport out to 270 because of the recent crash. TR Hughes through Highway K. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland. It is slow, actually backed up at Hanley through McKnight, but it's slow from there all the way to 270. West of Clarkson and Boone's Crossing, and 364 out to 70 still crowded. South 270 from Page down through Manchester. Northbound 270 north of Manchester to Ladue slow. Southbound 55 Gasconade Bates. Westbound 44 backed up between the bridges downtown, and westbound 64 is backed up from the 70 split across the Poplar. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Man, we got a lot going on the roadways right now. Be patient. I got to remind myself that, Matt. Be patient when I'm leaving work here to make sure we don't have any unfortunate circumstances with all the traffic that's loading up in St. Louis for a Tuesday rush hour. All right, a couple more minutes here on the Redbird Rush Hour. And obviously, a little side story today. This is not – it's Cardinals related in that they're going to be facing this guy for the next few days. But pretty interesting and pretty big story in baseball, certainly big enough for our sister station in Kansas City to send two of their sports guys here to do their show today in advance of the Cardinals and the Royals, because Jack Caglione is making his Major League debut tonight. And for those not familiar with Jack, he was the star at the University of Florida last year. Their first-round draft pick, hit 35 home runs last year in 56 games, has silly power. Like, we're talking Ohtani, Judge, exit velos, and bat speed. And then the question here now is just like, does he have the ability that they do to make consistent contact? But it's a big story today, and I know you got a chance to be around him doing his initial little press scrum there.
Yeah, he did it in the Royals dugout. I grabbed a little bit of audio. We'll play it during the Cardinals pregame show today, so you'll hear from him. The thing that I noticed when I walked into the ballpark today, I got here about 2:15, 2:20. There were Royals fans everywhere, Kevin. Like, after 20 years of Cardinals fans filling up Kauffman Stadium on interleague weekends, this is the first time that I can really think that, Kansas City fans are coming in and making a big push. But that's how big of a deal it was. There was a caravan across I-70 from Kansas City as Royals fans are really, really excited about this guy.
Yeah.
He was excited about being here, so it's gonna be fun to see what kind of attention and the reaction he gets when he comes up to the plate.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fascinating player. He's got a really high ceiling because of the power. He was a two-way player in college who was throwing like 100 miles an hour as a pitcher too. All right, this is a minor thing. We don't have time, but I hate that major league teams refuse to develop guys as two-way players. I hate it. I think when you get a special talent like we've seen with Ohtani, try to develop the special talent. When you got a guy that can hit a ball 118 to 120 miles an hour and throw 100, try to do both. I mean, what, is Ohtani an alien? He's the only one on earth capable of doing it? Well, apparently, but nobody here will let you try it. The only reason he got to do it is because he did it first in Japan, and he wouldn't come over if they wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
So, anyway, rant over. Okay. I am curious to see, because, the Cardinals drafted Weatherholt in the first round last year, and they're very different players, right? Caglione is the big home run, big swing and miss guy. Weatherholt is the hit guy, and it'll be fun to see how those two guys kind of, handle how they develop over the course of their careers. But it does show how close these guys that come out of college are, doesn't it?
It 100%
Yeah,
does.
less than a year for him. It won't be that soon for Weatherholt, but it won't be that long either. All right, buddy, have a good pregame, postgame. Have fun at the ball game. Enjoy it. Looking forward to listening to the pregame show here coming up in a couple of minutes. Cardinals and the Royals at 6:45. Matt's got the pregame next on KMOX.
Caring for residents for over a century, Manor Grove is committed to making everyone feel at home. Choosing a home for your loved one to reside is an important decision and shouldn't be taken lightly.